as time flies by, you'll open up your eyes wide. You feel it's gonna go your way. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. Hey, 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 it's a brand.
Welcome back to Marbella Now. My name is Nicole King, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome to the studio Masha Malka. We spoke to her quite frequently during lockdown on Zoom. A lot of useful, helpful tips as a life coach that she is on how to deal with that situation. And I think we're all still dealing with that situation. So it's really nice to have you, Masha, back in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Always wonderful to be here with you, Nicole.
I personally find you very relaxing. When I'm in your presence, you exude a very confident but a very quiet energy. You know, some people have the very loud energies and others have a very quiet. Doesn't mean to say it's not powerful, but is this since a child? Have you always been this forceful, or is it through your studies, because you're continually studying, learning?
Yes. I think I've always been quiet, but definitely
An old soul.
Maybe. Thank you. Or because my mom didn't like loud noises, so she kept me quiet. But I definitely through the years and through all the work that I've been doing for myself, I have learned to manage my emotions, because I've always been a very emotional person. So you might not hear, in the past you wouldn't hear me maybe screaming, it's not my thing, but crying a lot, yes, or just getting sad or upset, overly sensitive, which would interfere with my work, with my relationships. So I did make a decision some time ago that I need to learn how to control my emotions more, and then my latest book came out actually on the topic. I spent 10 years researching the subjects of what are emotions and how to control them, but more like how to become friends with them and why we feel them and what are they all about. So
because we do tend to run from our emotions.
Yes.
And I remember someone saying to me just recently, well, like, go into it. What's going on? What are you feeling? Why do you think, what were you thinking about that makes you think it? And I think that's basically, again, I think we don't think, we act, we react, but we don't plan our day. We don't think what kind of day I want to have, and if something happens, how do I want to address this?
very true. I think the majority of people, unfortunately, still on autopilot. They, you know, in general, we all act out of habit. Over 95%, I believe, of what we do is habitual. Can you imagine? It's not just the habit to get up and brush your teeth. We habitually react to things. We think habitual thoughts. Over 95% of everything about us is habitual. When I discovered it, it was like mind-boggling. Like, wow. Basically, the programs in our minds that we accumulate through the years, but mainly from the childhood, they guide all of our experiences in life for the rest of our life, which is not a bad thing. It is something that we need as human beings. We need to be able to know how to react to certain situations, because we cannot constantly invent every situation and what to do about it. Otherwise, you know, the life would be very difficult. But what's also important to understand is that what served us when we were children or teenagers or young adults maybe does not necessarily serve us now, because we should be evolving, and we do evolve, hopefully. And so many times we get to the point where the old programs are expired, they don't serve us, they're actually stopping us from moving forward. So emotions come into play when that happens, when we start reacting to something that we're thinking, why am I reacting? You know, you basically, it's the old program that is running your situation, your reaction. And in this case, it's good to stop and analyze and say, okay, why am I doing this? What is the reason? What is this emotion? What is this fear usually? Do I still feel this way? I don't need this anymore. So you just, you know, try to release it. There are different techniques on how to releasing emotions that you don't want to feel anymore, or changing your programs. And then you help yourself become that better version of yourself with the help of your emotions, actually.
And there's nothing wrong with, say, having emotions, examining emotions, having help examining the emotions. But to go back to something you said about childhood traumas or childhood experiences that can affect us, you personally have childhood experiences that are more fitting of a movie than just a normal little girl growing up liking ballet and dance as you did, as I understand it from previous interviews and us meeting up, that you and your family had to escape from Russia, basically, fearing for your lives. What does that feel like? What emotions go on when mummy and daddy say, kids, we gotta go?
Yes. Difficult to express the real emotion, because unless you experience basically losing everything practically overnight, and by everything I mean not just material possessions, which we had to leave everything behind. We were allowed a small suitcase per person, 2 pieces of jewelry that had some meaning, and we couldn't take any group photos. But anyway, in a small suitcase, you're not going to stuff it with photos. But most importantly, I had to say goodbye to all my friends and my relatives at the time. And because it was still Soviet Union when we left, I was living with the understanding that I will never see them again. I could never be in touch with them, because I was told that if I do, if I stay in touch with them, they will be in trouble with KGB, because you living in the Soviet Union, you were not allowed to communicate with outside, the people from the outside of that. So I couldn't write to them, I couldn't keep in touch with them. In fact, I couldn't even tell them that I was leaving forever, because that would put me in danger, because we were enemies of the States, we were refugees. And I was 17, so, and I was actually having a good life there. I was happy. Children and teenagers in the Soviet Union, we had good life. The education was free. We didn't know any better.
Did you
actually.
understand the situation that you were living? Did you understand why it was happening, or were you very much kept separate in your life from the political situation?
It was the Cold War, and of course it was a lot of propaganda, but we wanted to go to United States of America, and of course they were the enemies, and everything we were told about America was extremely negative. So I thought I was going into a place where it's just full of homeless people and full of bad things, because that's what we were told. And so yes, we did not. I had my aunt and my cousin there living already, so it's not like we were going to nowhere. We knew there would be somebody who would look after us, but we knew very little about the life there. At least I didn't. So yes, for me it was very traumatic. I told my mom, I don't want to go. I'm going to stay, and she was very wise about it, because you don't want to tell the teenager, somebody stubborn like me especially, no, you have to go. She said to me, okay, fine, you stay, but we're leaving. And I thought to myself, do I really want to never see my parents and my brother again? I said no. So so then I just had to go, and what followed was very interesting in a way, because it was very eye-opening. It's like this whole new world opened up, which was absolutely amazing, but also very traumatic. I was depressed. I didn't know. You mentioned little girl. I felt like, because I'm kind of petite, and I remember getting in America and thinking, what is this little Russian girl, I thought of myself, can possibly do in this big, amazing country? It just seems so big, and there's all this colorful. I went to high school there, and everybody's like so colorful. It was the 80s, late 80s, with boom boxes and people with different skin colors. In the Soviet Union, you didn't have that. And we had to wear very strict uniforms, and everything was extremely strict, and suddenly it's like, seemed so wild to me and so crazy.
It's funny, because I imagine you didn't feel you were missing anything
Exactly.
before.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was going to say. When you live there, you don't realize that, there is something else. You think, oh, this is wonderful, this is my life. And it's very true about human beings, it's when you are where you are, you think, this is fine. But this is a plus and a minus of social media as well. That you look in the social media and you see how some people live, and you think they get depressed because you don't have this, or think you cannot have this, not realizing that a lot of it is not really real. So that can really affect people psychologically.
You're a very good dancer, whether it's Latin American ballroom, ballet. Is this something that you started back in the homeland?
Yes, I was not born with a talent for dancing. My mom decided when I was 8 that I didn't have a good posture, or I wasn't moving,
You weren't feminine enough.
Exactly, yes. I wasn't feminine enough. So she decided I need to go and do some dancing. And I stuck with it. I continued with ballroom dancing, and I was very dedicated. Again, I was never the best in class or like super talented, but somehow I really persisted, and I went to my classes and I worked on it. And then actually I was studying in a choreography trade school to be a dance teacher. So when I left Soviet Union and I immigrated to America, I didn't speak any English. And knowing how to dance and being good in math, I always loved math, of course, gave me an advantage in the States, because they're not that strong in math over there, not at high school level. And neither dance or math required a good knowledge of the language. So I actually majored in math and dance when I went to college. So I continued with that, and I joined a group there, a dance group there, and then I performed, and I was teaching for many years. So throughout my life, I was always kind of
So your mum did you quite a service in the end
She
by
did.
trying to give you that little bit
Yes.
of poise. Well, stay poised. You guys don't go away. We're chatting with Masha Malka, author, life coach, amazing human being, speaks to all kinds of audiences, not just us here on the Costa del Sol. We're going to hear a few messages from our sponsors, but we'll be back in just a moment.
When I'm the designated driver, I think it's only fair that I get to choose a zero-hero venue that rewards me with free soft drinks. My friends all get to choose and booze, and they feel safe going home with me. Make sure that you get your reward for being the designated driver. Why pay if you don't have to?
Judy likes to consider herself a clever young woman, which is why she thought very carefully before choosing her insurance company. Now that she needs it, she's jolly glad she chose Linear Director, as it looks as if she might have something better to do. Why don't you be clever, like Judy? Call Linear Director on 952 14 78 34 and see which policy is best for you.
Zero Hero, welcome to the Playlights.
Hello guys, welcome to Harbor. All the designated drivers are welcome here to the Harbor. And we are very proud to be a Zero Hero partner.
G-Line is happy to be Zero Hero partner.
Glad and proud to present Zero to Hero. Never drink and drive.
McNulty's is proud to be a Zero Hero partner.
Hi guys, Ross here from Hogan Stand. Proud to be a member of the Zero Hero campaign. And we recommend everybody. Nobody drives drinking. Everybody who drives a car doesn't have any alcohol in their system, and we're proud to sponsor the Zero Hero program.
Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, we're chatting with Masha Malka. She's an author, she's a speaker, she's a life coach, and she's also a very nice young woman. And we're very honoured to have you here in the studio, Masha. I thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you. Time just goes so quickly.
You're very kind to call me young woman. That's actually sounds really nice.
Well, you are, and I think everything's relative. I was told today that I'm no spring chicken, and I'm like, thank you very much, my son-in-law. So
oh, really?
It was one of those backhanded compliments. He was trying to say something nice, and it came out.
Man.
Yeah, exactly. But the intention is an important thing.
That's true.
And I think sometimes, jumping out of order of what I really want to speak about, I think we jump too quickly to be offended too often. That people can say things and our ego gets in the way and we can choose to be offended and upset. In fact, completely off subject, but I went to the Salon Varieties in Fuengirola, and I'd never been, but I know about it. And I went, and this and that, and I did a nice little piece on it, and the guy talked about, I caught him off guard, off stage, wasn't expecting it. But then when you read the Facebook post, why didn't he talk about me? I promote the theatre, and why didn't he? Do you know what I mean? It's so unnecessary, this need for recognition, need perhaps to compete, be better than, that perhaps we've been taught to think this way, that unless I'm better than Joe Bloggs next to me, I'm not worthy. And I know that 98% of what you do, is whether it's speaking, writing for Forbes, writing your books, it is to get across above all this message that everyone has their own perception, the way of looking at it, and everyone's valid. How do we lose, Masha, this need to compete, to self-validate?
You basically just described the way you asked me the question actually has an answer in it. A few times you mentioned the ego, you mentioned self-validation, you mentioned the need to feel valued, to feel significant. This is actually one of the basic human needs. It's not even something that we learn, it's one of the basic human needs. We need to feel that we have value, that we are significant. And we try to get it most of the time from the outside world. And when we do that, if we don't feel within that we're worthy, if we don't value and respect ourselves, the world will reflect that. So whatever you're experiencing in the world, if you're experiencing a lot of injustice, if you're experiencing a lot of disrespect, or when you feel that people constantly not valuing all the hard work that you're doing for them, putting yourself second and them first, you need to look at it not as something to be angry or upset about or disappointed, but as a message that whatever the world is showing you is what you are not giving yourself. So to answer your question, the way to change that, the only way to change that is by asking yourself, giving it yourself, and saying to yourself, how much do I really love and respect myself? Because every time you say yes to someone when you really want to say no, you disrespect yourself and you're not valuing yourself.
And somehow that reflects in one's body, health, mental state. It does pay a price.
100%, 100%. And also it creates resentment. You're saying you're doing something for the other person when you don't really feel like doing it. They don't know you don't feel like doing it. Meanwhile, you're building up resentment because maybe you're not getting as much of appreciation as you want to. But if you do something for someone, you either do it full-heartedly, not because you're expecting appreciation, or you don't do it. You do it because it makes you happy, or you don't do it. Because, again, saying no, saying yes to somebody while you're saying no to yourself, you're still saying no to one of you, yes. Unless it's a win-win situation where it makes you as well happy, then it's something you should be doing.
That's a nice way of looking at it. You're saying no to yourself. You don't want to say it to someone else, but you'll say it to yourself.
Exactly. So you think you're treating somebody with respect, meanwhile you're disrespecting yourself, and then you're surprised when other people disrespect you. They do, because this is a reflection of how you treat yourself. Do you value yourself enough to put yourself first? It's not selfish.
See, this is, I think, where a lot of people feel that if they do anything for themselves, it becomes selfish. And finding that balance between self and ego.
Absolutely, absolutely. I actually wrote quite a few articles on how good it is to be selfish. And selfish in the sense that Not egotistic, exactly as you're saying, not egotistic where it's all about me and I'm the best and I don't care about you. That's egotistic. Self-ish, if you put like little dash, self-ish is taking care of the self, loving yourself, loving, respecting and valuing yourself. It's actually very good, because when you do that, when you show the world that I matter, I'm worthy of everything that I give myself. Give yourself, and then the world will give it to you as well. Take some time off for yourself. Get a massage, get pampered, sleep in. So especially for women, I'm saying this especially for women right now, because women in their desire to be equal forget that they're women and we are not the same. And women have to allow themselves to be women, you know, to just be.
Again, it's finding that balance between capable of doing a job that was before done by a man, but retaining one's identity as a woman. You don't have to butch up to do the man's job. That was not man's job, the job that was typically
Yes.
before covered by a man.
Absolutely, balance is important. And not only you don't have to, like you say, butch up, to try to be like a man, you will not win, so to speak, by trying to be like a man. You will get ahead much more in every aspect of your life, in business, in relationships, in every aspect, if you remember to use your feminine power. It's a lot stronger than masculine power, by the way, if you know how to use, if you know how to tune into your feminine power and you actually know how to use it, men stand no chance. But if you go head to head with men as a man, you have no chance. Because men know how to be men, and they know how to be assertive, they know how to win if they're masculine men. With masculine, you're much more powerful as a feminine energy. Doesn't mean that you need to be, you need to let them walk all over you. That's not at all what I'm saying. Yes, it's a very powerful energy if you know how to use it.
When I think of the education system, and basically everything is based on competition, and school is getting better grades than the other kids, or doing better in sports than the other kids, and I think there's very much, apart from the human nature of that you were mentioning before, but very much our system is to be better than. So I think it's very hard for our youth sometimes to realize that it doesn't matter if you're not the best at this or the best at that. And we all do have our unique something, and I don't think our education system goes to necessarily promote what each person can do. You could be a concert pianist and be no good at math, but if you've never given a piano, how would you know you're a concert pianist?
Yes.
So in general, Masha, we're faced with many challenges: work, school, family, confinements. If someone feels that they're not able to be true to themselves, where's the first point to start with to say, okay, to find oneself, be true to oneself, not keep saying no to oneself?
Amazing question. Actually, very, very important question. Not so easy to answer quickly. To say that we're faced with a lot of challenges, by the way, is not a bad thing. I think challenges is what make this life interesting and fascinating. And if you stop looking at things as problems to constantly solve, or like challenges as in a negative context, but actually look at it as a fascinating puzzle to solve, or something that is really interesting and that gives you a chance to grow and to get better, then life will take a different meaning. And we give our own meaning to everything that happens to us anyway. So may as well give a meaning that's a little bit more, makes you happier. But going back to your question, where do we start? You're absolutely right. Unfortunately, the educational system is trying to make everybody kind of more or less the same. They're putting us in the same system, even the way they measure IQ or intelligence, the way they deliver information in school. To me, I like the example. It's like trying to teach a fish how to climb a tree and trying to teach an eagle how to run faster than
It's like you wouldn't expect a fish to climb a tree.
Yes.
You wouldn't be upset
but
with them.
The school
or
expects
they do.
everybody to do this, and then they judge children and saying, you're not good at this, and then the child grows up thinking, I'm not good enough because I'm not capable of this. And meanwhile, every one of us is born with a gift, I call it a genius. My first book actually is called Discover Inborn Genius, and it's about the fact that we're all born with a very unique gift. And the job of every parent from the very beginning to see what it is that makes your child unique, that their specific gifts. Not trying to live your own unaccomplished goals through your children, which lots of parents do that, but to actually see what it is that makes your child unique, regardless of whether you approve or disapprove, like or don't like. And if parents support that and empower children to grow in that area, and then everything else, you don't have to be great at everything. There are a few people that are just good at everything. They're lucky. But even people who are good at everything, they still need to work hard to get ahead. But the important thing is to discover what it is you're good at. And if you lost it in the process, it's never too late to go back and ask yourself a few questions, such as, if I could do anything, knowing without a doubt that I would succeed, what would I do? For example, this question. If I had all the money and time in the world, what would I do? Like if you eliminate certain limitation, thinking, no, I don't have time for this, or I don't have enough money for this, or I don't know, everybody around me says it's just a waste of time. If you just eliminate those noise outside and just go within and say, if I could do anything without worrying about money or time or people's opinion, what would I actually do? What would make me happy?
I think that is a very valid point. And without worrying about people's opinion, not only to be better than and to prove that you are greater than and have more than, but just not worrying about the opinion, because when we're true to oneself, we do find our true mission, and that is all we have time for. I can't believe where the time's going. You'll have to come back again, Masha, very soon. Problem. There was so much more I wanted to ask and we didn't get to cover, but you can contact Masha Malka yourself if you would like just great group sessions and also private coaching sessions. She's got some fabulous books out. Definitely visit her website, mashamalka.com. Is it .com? And check it out. That's it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed finding out who's who and what's what in Marbella Now. You can go to my website, nicoleking.es, for links to my column in the Euro Weekly Marbella Moments, also to our Zero Hero website, rewarding the designated driver with free soft drinks, and of course a link to the RTV Marbella website and this program, Marbella Now. Take care of yourselves, be nice to each other, and we'll see you again next week.
We can change if we try. Just believe.